Have you ever opened your textbook, read the same sentence 5 times, and somehow ended up imagining an entirely different life? Maybe you were giving a speech in front of thousands of people. Maybe you were scoring the winning goal in a World Cup final. Maybe you were imagining the perfect conversation that never actually happened. Then, almost like waking up from a dream, you look at the clock and realize an hour has disappeared. At first, it doesn't seem like a big deal. Everyone daydreams, right? But when those imaginary worlds become more exciting than your real one, that's when things start to change. You stop living in reality and start visiting it only when you have to. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Millions of people experience something called maladaptive daydreaming. It's not officially recognized as a mental disorder in many diagnostic manuals yet, but researchers have been studying it for years because of how deeply it can affect people's lives. And for students especially, it can quietly destroy focus, productivity, and even confidence without them realizing what's actually happening. The strange thing is that it doesn't feel dangerous. In fact, it feels amazing. Think about it. In your imagination, everything goes your way. You're funnier, smarter, more successful, more attractive, more confident. You can replay old memories and change the ending. You can imagine future success before you've even started working for it. Your brain gets to experience excitement without taking any real risks. Reality, on the other hand, is much less rewarding. Studying is difficult. Solving math problems isn't exciting. Reading another chapter doesn't give you instant happiness. Your brain naturally prefers the option that feels good right now, even if it hurts you later. That's exactly why maladaptive daydreaming is so addictive. The scary part isn't that you daydream. The scary part is what your brain slowly starts learning. Every time reality becomes uncomfortable, your mind discovers that it can simply escape. Feeling stressed about exams? Escape. Bored while studying? Escape. Embarrassed after making a mistake? Escape. Instead of solving problems, your brain practices avoiding them. Over time, this becomes a habit. And habits are powerful because eventually you stop making the decision consciously. You don't sit down and think, I'm going to daydream for the next hour. It just happens automatically. One small thought turns into another. And before you know it, you've built an entire movie inside your head. That's why so many students feel guilty after studying. They genuinely believe they spent hours working, but when they look back, they barely remember reading anything. Their body was sitting at the desk, but their attention was somewhere else entirely. The worst part is that this cycle slowly destroys your confidence. Imagine promising yourself every morning that today will be different. You'll stay focused, you'll finish your assignments, you'll finally get your life together. But by evening, you've spent another few hours inside your imagination, instead of doing the work that actually mattered. After enough days like this, you stop trusting yourself. You begin thinking, maybe I'm just lazy. But laziness isn't the right word. A lazy person doesn't usually feel guilty for avoiding work. Someone struggling with maladaptive daydreaming often wants to study. They want to improve. They want to be productive. But every time they try, their own imagination pulls them away before they even notice it happening. That's an important difference. Your imagination isn't your enemy. It's actually one of the most powerful tools your brain has. Every invention, every book, every movie, every scientific discovery started with someone imagining something that didn't exist yet. The problem begins when imagination replaces action instead of inspiring it. There's nothing wrong with dreaming about becoming successful. The problem is when dreaming becomes a substitute for actually building that success. Your brain doesn't always distinguish between imagining a reward and earning one. That's why after spending 30 minutes imagining yourself becoming successful, you sometimes feel strangely satisfied even though nothing has changed in real life. It's almost like your brain says, that felt good enough, and your motivation to do the difficult work quietly disappears. That's why studying feels harder afterward. Not because your books became more difficult, but because your brain has already found a much easier source of satisfaction. And unlike social media or video games, maladaptive daydreaming is difficult to recognize because there's nothing external to blame. There's no phone in your hand, no notifications, no screen. Everything is happening silently inside your own mind. That makes it incredibly easy to ignore. You might even tell yourself that you're just thinking, planning, or being creative. Sometimes that's true, but if those imaginary scenarios are repeatedly stealing hours from your day and stopping you from living the life you actually want, then it's worth paying attention to them. because the longer this habit continues, the stronger it becomes. The good news is that recognizing the problem is the first real step towards solving it. You can't change a habit you don't even realize you're repeating. The moment you begin noticing when your mind drifts away, you regain something incredibly valuable: awareness. And awareness is where real change begins. But awareness alone isn't enough. Once you know what's happening, the next step is learning how to interrupt it. The first thing to remember is that you don't need to stop daydreaming completely. Daydreaming is normal. It helps us think creatively, solve problems, and imagine the future. The problem begins when those imaginary worlds become more rewarding than your real one. One of the easiest ways to fight this habit is to identify your triggers. Maybe it's a certain type of music. Maybe it's boredom, stress, or sitting alone for too long. Once you know what pulls you into those fantasies, you can make small changes before they take over. Even something as simple as studying in a library instead of your bedroom can help your brain stay grounded. Another mistake students make is expecting themselves to stay focused for hours. That's unrealistic. Instead, study in shorter sessions with small breaks in between. When a task feels manageable, your brain has less reason to escape into a fantasy. But here's the most important thing. Ask yourself why your imaginary world feels more attractive than your real one. Is it because you're afraid of failing? Because you're lonely? Because real life feels stressful? Sometimes maladaptive daydreaming isn't the real problem. It's a coping mechanism for something deeper. If you ignore that, the habit usually comes back. The version of yourself you imagine isn't meaningless. It often represents the person you truly want to become. Maybe you imagine yourself being confident, successful, respected, or happy. Those dreams aren't the enemy. They're a reminder of your goals. But dreams only become reality when they're followed by action. Every minute you spend imagining success is a minute you could spend creating it. Imagine replacing just 1 hour of daydreaming every day with 1 hour of focused work. In a year, that's hundreds of hours invested in your future instead of your imagination. So the next time you catch your mind drifting away, don't call yourself lazy. Don't get frustrated. Simply notice it, bring your attention back, and continue with what you are doing. The more you repeat that simple habit, the easier it becomes. Your imagination is one of the greatest gifts you have. It can inspire you, motivate you, and help you dream bigger than anyone else. Just don't let it become a place where your dreams stay forever, because the life you've been imagining will always feel perfect, but the life you build will always be worth more.